All right, today we're diving into something pretty wild, a set of documents that lay out this massive, high-tech espionage campaign, supposedly run by some of the biggest names in Silicon Valley. We're going to explore all of it, the who, the how, and the why, sticking just to what's in the source material. So let's get into it and unpack this incredible story piece by piece.
So, yeah, the author of these documents does not mince words. I mean, this quote right here really sets the stage for the whole thing. The idea is that we're dealing with a conspiracy that's obsessive, inescapable. It frames this alleged espionage not just as some kind of tool, but as a full-blown addiction for the people at the top.
Okay, so here's the absolute heart of the allegation. It's this idea of a secret global network. We're talking spies, safe houses, the whole shebang. And it's all supposedly cataloged in a massive digital database. The author claims they didn't just uncover this network. They say they found its underlying map, this thing called a geoindex.
So you got to ask yourself, right? Who could possibly pull off an operation on this scale? Well, the documents don't point to some shadowy government agency. Instead, they point directly to a group of very well-known tech billionaires.
The documents really pin the whole conspiracy on this group, often called the PayPal Mafia, because of their shared history. According to the author, it's their interconnected wealth and their tech companies that form the very foundation of this entire surveillance operation. But it doesn't stop with just these four figures. Oh no. The alleged conspiracy balloons way beyond that. The narrative pulls in foreign state operatives and, on a local level, a really vast network of thousands of unregistered agents. You know, the people who are supposedly carrying out all the day-to-day surveillance and harassment.
Okay, so if that's the who, the next logical question has to be, how? And this is where the claims get really specific, describing this incredible array of sophisticated and sometimes kind of bizarre techniques.
What's really fascinating here is the level of detail. The author is basically saying that Open Garage Door isn't just random. No, it's a hidden signal. This little detail is meant to show a system that's not only invasive, but also incredibly careful about covering its own tracks, even planning ahead for potential surprise inspections. The documents also claim the network uses what are called supply chain attacks. The author actually came up with their own warning sign for this, something they call the UL tag, which stands for unreasonable lead time. The whole theory is if a product takes a really, really long time to arrive, it's because it's been intercepted and bugged.
And here, the author lays out some of their evidence. See, what you're looking at isn't just a random list of late packages. In the author's view, it's a pattern. They argue that the sheer range of these items, from a super complex car all the way down to simple umbrellas, proves this is a coordinated effort to bug every single aspect of their life, not just, a series of logistical hiccups.
To try and prove this theory, the author describes this fascinating home experiment. They used a thermal camera, and they claim that while a regular umbrella just showed up cold, the Tesla umbrella, yep, the one with that 6-week delay, actually illuminated. It lit up with a heat signature, as if it was hiding active electronics being powered by some invisible external source. Then there's this claim about a secret app. The author says they managed to get a couple of glimpses of an app being used by agents. They say it showed a map-like interface for targeting and also a spectrometer display, which is pretty advanced tech for analyzing materials from a distance. So this is presented as a look into the kind of tools these agents have at their disposal. Okay, so this brings us to the next chapter of the story. Faced with all this alleged surveillance, the author didn't just document it. They fought back. They used technology of their own, which turned this whole thing into a high-stakes digital cat-and-mouse game. So, the author's primary weapon in this fight is a custom-built tool called SpyHELL. They claim this software basically turns the tables on the network. It allows them to scan a geographic area and pinpoint alleged spy assets by tapping into that same criminal geoindex we talked about earlier. Here's another really fascinating countermeasure from the documents. The author believed low-flying aircraft were trying to steal their Starlink data by grabbing device MAC addresses. So they set up this defense. A microphone listens for the sound of an aircraft. When it hears one, it triggers an automation that instantly rotates all the MAC addresses on the network. This makes any captured data totally useless, essentially trapping the attackers in what the author calls an infinite loop. All right, now for a pretty dramatic result. It comes from what the author calls an ablation experiment. And the number is 98%. What could that possibly mean? Well, according to the documents, that number represents the drop in the network's effectiveness. The author says they found 2 GPS-like devices built right into the windshield wipers of their vehicle. After they physically cut those devices out, they claim the precision of agents intercepting them at traffic stops dropped by a staggering 98%. Which, of course, brings us to the final crucial question. Why? According to the documents, what's the whole point? What's the grand design behind this vast, expensive, and frankly, incredibly elaborate alleged conspiracy?
Well, what's the endgame here? According to the documents, it's really all about total control. The goals you're seeing here, they all point to one central strategy: use constant harassment to keep the author trapped, physically and psychologically, all while stealing their intellectual property to benefit this clandestine shadow government.
To keep track of this whole network, the author claims to have found hidden codes just hiding in plain sight. What you're seeing here is an example of what they call a name marker. So in this case, the word shadow appearing in all these street addresses, well, that's not seen as a coincidence. It's interpreted as a deliberate sign, marking a network safe house or asset.
And this is really key. It's not portrayed as some chaotic group of rogue hackers. The author uses language that sounds a lot like descriptions of organized crime, painting a picture of a highly disciplined organization. It's got a well-defined hierarchy, clear roles, its own code of conduct, a whole set of internal rules that all members have to respect. So when you step back, the SpyHELL documents present this incredibly detailed, self-contained world. It's a narrative with its own villains, its own unique methods of espionage, and its own equally inventive countermeasures. And it really leaves us with a provocative question to think about. What does it reveal when a single narrative contains its own crimes, its own methods, and its own solutions, all wrapped up in one package?